Hey, I'm Rob Jones, and today I'm doing a comparison of the latest and greatest DJ apps available for the iPad, namely djay from Algoriddim and Sonorasaurus Rex from Pajamahouse. These appear to be the best 2-deck apps out there, and are both similarly priced at around 10 quid a pop. Being a sound engineer and DJ myself, I can take you through the pros and cons of each app and tell you how they fare against each other.
Let's start with the less imaginatively named djay. This is currently in the top 10 paid apps, so it's doing incredibly well. I think the thing that appeals most about djay is the realistic interface. It looks like a pair of decks. And what's more, you can get your hands on each deck to actually scratch the vinyl.
And the action is very responsive, and like it would be in real life, only a bit smaller.
The thing I like here is that when you scratch the record, the waveform display at the top zooms in, so you have a really good visual representation of the track, making it much easier to find the bit you want. As far as level and tempo goes, it's just as you'd find on a regular setup, with sliders for both alongside, and a crossfader in the middle. There are some nice digital benefits here, like you can tap the faders to carry out fast cuts. And to change the speed, you just use the tempo control as you'd expect, the sensitivity of which can be customised in the settings menu. Then, to nudge the deck backwards and forwards, you can tap on the plus and minus buttons below. Tunes are selected from your iPod music library, so it's really easy to find tracks. And you can of course access them via your playlists, to make things even simpler. Once loaded, the software analyses the track to work out its tempo, which it then displays above the speed slider. Here's the killer feature though. After it's analysed the track, you can press the sync button to automatically match the tempo of the track that's currently playing.
I'm sure a lot of DJs might be dissing it now, saying, "Oh, I get it, it's for people who can't beat mix." But let's be honest, if you can save yourself the time of working it out yourself, then why not make things easier? And you're still going to need some DJing skills to be able to mix the tracks once they've been synced, as there's always going to be some nudging and fine-tuning required.
Other features available are equalisation, where you can carry out a cut or boost of 3 frequency bands, low, mid and high, as well as an additional gain adjust of the track. Then there are switches at the bottom for setting and jumping to a single cue point in the track.
So how can you DJ with the software when there's only a single headphones output on the iPad? Well, you could just rely on the automatic syncing and the waveform at the top. But this is a risky business and may not result in clean mixing.
So the software settings allow you to split the output, where one channel is used for the main output and the other for cueing.
This provided a good excuse for me to whip out the old soldering iron and make my own adapter, which looks a bit makeshift and shoddy, I know, but it does the job.
You can also buy one of these online for around 15 bucks, which is linked to from the Algoriddim site, should you not be so handy with a soldering iron. The third option with this software is to choose auto mixing. This makes the software select and mix tracks automatically for you. So, with the new multitasking capabilities of the iPad, you can let it do the mixing while you surf the web, read or play games.
It is a bit like having your rubbish mate mixing in the corner though, as I'm actually quite relieved to say it's not the best mixing you've ever heard. Let's move on to our second app now, the more adventurously named Sonorasaurus Rex from Pajamahouse.
This app's a bit more contradictory in appearance. The website looks like it's advertising a children's book, or at least a DJing product for dinosaurs. But the GUI itself is more technical, and perhaps more intimidating than the highly user-friendly GUI we've just looked at.
So of course, I immediately loved it.
To run you through the main features, tracks are selected from a number of sources. You can scroll through your iTunes library, searching by artist or track, but not playlist sadly. However, you can create your own playlists in this window, and can then drag tracks into them. And you also have a user library for the app itself, if you want to keep your DJing tracks separate from your iPod library. There's also an interesting facility here which generates waveforms from tracks in your library. It can take a while to set this up, but it's worth it for the visual benefits. What it provides is a display of the transients in the track in this central area here, so you can see more clearly where the beats are. And there's also a beat blob, which pulses on every beat, so you can see exactly when the beats are happening. The layout is nicely constructed, as you have your track select, waveform and pitching in the lower half, and then the mixer in the upper half. Level adjusting is done via the usual faders and sliders once again, with individual deck gains on either side and the master output in the middle. The faders are nice and long too, so it's easy to make your own smooth fades. The controls are all instantly accessible, so if you want to mess around with the 3-band EQ, then you don't need to open any additional windows to do it. As far as manually changing the speed goes, you have more control on Rex than on DJ, as you have a customizable tempo slider with plus and minus buttons, so you can easily make slight adjustments to the timing. And you get a jog pad that you can also customize for sensitivity, so nudging is exactly the way you want it. By the way, if you're not sure what any area of the screen does, then there's a built-in reference guide, which allows you to touch any part of the screen to find out what the controls do, which is nice.
Although Rex doesn't have any automatic syncing, it does have semi-automatic tempo analyzing.
I say semi-automatic because what you have to do is click on set, then hit the tap switch on each beat for around 30 seconds, after which it works out the BPM from the average and displays it in the BPM box. It'll then display it in the box every time you load up that track on a deck. Then you adjust the tempo so the BPM is the same as the other track, providing a good starting point for your mix. But you'll need to do more fine adjusting than on DJ.
One area where this app definitely wins is the effects section, as DJ has none.
Here you get 6 different effects, which don't sound too bad, and are certainly fun to play around with. The high-pass filter is the one I use the most, but there's also a pretty useful delay. You also get more cue points with this app, having a total of 3 available. However, despite being able to scrub the track in multiple places using the lower strip or central display, I still prefer the display on DJ, as you can see the whole waveform of the track, which makes it easier to find specific points, and shows you clearly when a breakdown is about to start or end, making mixing easier, particularly when you don't know the track as well. Some other great things about Rex are in the settings, where you can choose a particular curve for the crossfader to suit your preference. And you can choose one of 3 audio setups. You get the headphone split as we saw on DJ, but you also get deck split, where you can use the same adapter to connect each deck in the software to either side of a hardware mixer, which is awesome. When in headphone split mode, 2 switches above the faders appear, allowing you to choose the deck you want to cue. However, there's no level control, which is a pain. It means you have to use the actual track gain slider if you want control over this. In DJ, the headphones level is included on the settings screen. So what are the downsides of DJ? Well, as I said, the tempo slider could be better. You have an option for fine adjust in the settings, in addition to the selectable range, so you can make the control as coarse or fine as you want. But only being able to adjust the tempo using the slider still isn't ideal for making very small and precise changes, and switches would be good in addition. The EQ controls could also be better on both apps, as the sliders are all very short, and make large gain adjustments to the sound, meaning you need to be quite careful when using them. So there's definitely room for improvement there too.
Perhaps a resolution select in the settings for those controls too. One thing DJ does have though is the ability to stream your mixing over a wireless network, making use of the iPad's AirPlay technology released in version 4.2. In conclusion then, they're both great apps, but Algoriddim's DJ is slightly ahead in my opinion.
Its realistic and tactile decks are loads of fun to play with, and despite the manual tempo adjust not being as good as Sonorasaurus Rex's, the beat detection and syncing work a treat, and make it quicker and easier to use, requiring less setup time as well. Sonorasaurus Rex has comprehensive and unique display capabilities though.
If you want the extra effects and the superior manual pitching controls, then you still may prefer to go with Rex. But the simple functionality and superior sound quality of DJ make it hard to resist. I'd certainly feel comfortable using DJ to mix at a house party or bar, which isn't something I expected.
And I'll definitely be using both apps regularly to record mixes.
It just goes to show how quickly the iPad is advancing, and how products like this are starting to replace laptops for an increasing number of applications. I hope you've enjoyed this comparison. Check in on my YouTube channel for more audio movies in the coming months. For now though, it's goodbye from me, and if you have been, thanks for listening.